All right, what's up, everybody? We are live Monday Night Roundtable. How's everybody doing?
Not good.
Rather not
Still
talk
got a
about
bad
it.
taste in my mouth. It's
Rather
bad.
not talk
Been
about
better.
it yet.
Been better.
Pull our display names up. All right, we'll kick off the show with a little positivity. We did get a running back commitment from the Kentucky decommitment. That's always good. Never want to have anything good happen for Kentucky. So we got Khalifa Keith, 3-star running back, 6'1", 225. I believe they said he was weighed more right now than any running back we have on the roster. So that will be good. What's going on, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm sitting here wondering the same thing. I'm like,
I
hey,
was just thinking about
what are we
how
laughing about? We laughing about how badly we lost or what?
pretty much. I mean, that's what it is. It's I don't know. It's nothing to smile about, but my mind is still blown.
Oh,
Welcome.
it's
Proud to
hilarious.
have you.
Yeah, thank all you guys for tuning in. For those of you on YouTube, subscribe, give us a like, share the video. Thank you for tuning in. Tyler, you got anything you want to kick us off with, or Dylan?
Dylan, go ahead.
I would like to start by publicly apologizing to Spencer Rattler. If you're out there and if you ever watch this, just know that I'm sorry. You made our team look like girls in a man's sport. The way that you played was the exact way that every college football team anticipated you playing coming out of high school. The way that you picked our defense apart was well beyond anything that I anticipated. So I applaud you for that phenomenal game, and I'm sorry I doubted you.
Tyler?
I have a rebuttal. You still suck, regardless. Like, I still feel that way from the depths of my soul. I think that Banks, not Jeremy Banks, Tim Banks, sold out because you had 2 starting running backs out, and he ran a dang prevent with soft coverage like you'd play in freaking Pee Wee football. It was the worst defensive game plan, I think, that we've seen. And when you walk off, he's essentially playing prevent defense the whole game. Okay, everybody knows what happens when you go into damage control on defense. You're just trying to stop somebody from hitting the deep ball. Well, they hit you for 35 or 40. They don't hit 70, but they hit the 25, 30, 35 over and over and over. And that's what we watched happen Saturday night. Now, we were out of sync. South Carolina was clicking. Rattler hadn't thrown the ball like that all year. But we didn't do anything to prevent it. The stat that blew my mind, Buck Reising was talking about it on the radio today. And what blew my mind is they said that he blitzed 2.7% of the time in that game. He had no intention of bringing anybody to stop the run. All he was worried about was bailing out and getting in coverage, and they absolutely destroyed us. South Carolina did that to Josh Dobbs.
That is where our defense is. A lot of people want to say our defense sucks. Our defense is not built to be your Alabama and Georgia defense. Our defense is only there to put pressure on the quarterback and force turnovers. If we can't do one or the other, it's ball game.
Well, here it is. 1 4-star or higher person plays in that secondary. 1. Everybody else is a 3-star or lower. Everybody. There's no talent, highly rated coming out. You look at our corners, you look at South Carolina's corners, they're 2 entirely different groups of people. Those guys were huge. They were freaking jacked. I don't know what their rankings were coming out of high school, but I'll almost guarantee you that they were higher than what we've got in our secondary. But it's not necessarily our guys' fault. At some point, you can't look at the kid and go, hey, this is your fault. You're not a dog. It's not necessarily what it is. Sometimes the scheme takes you out of it. And when you have them belling, that's one of the things. And Drew, I've told you this on several different occasions. Dylan's, I think I've told you a few times, just in casual conversation before you came on with us. When your linebacker's first step is back, there is a problem. Okay, that's what I pride myself on is linebacker play. His job is not pass first in any world. And when they're belling immediately, there's a problem with the scheme. Okay, unless it's 4th and 25 and you backed them up 12 to 15 yards because they're not going to run for a first down. Okay, and that's one of the things. I'm not saying fire Banks. I'm saying, hey, he made a mistake. He came out and he sold out for the pass and said, Spencer Rattler, you're going to beat me, but I'm going to make it really easy on you.
So here's a question. Their number 1 and number 2 running backs were out of the game. Out of the game. How do we allow them to pass and throw on us the way that they did, knowing that that's what they had to do?
Because you're not getting any pressure. You're not doing anything, and you're backing off 10 and 12 yards. You're allowing them to hit everything that they want to hit. All Rattler had to do was turn and make a decision and throw, and he did it all night long. He played that game perfectly. I really don't think he sucks. I think
no, he don't suck. It's all mental for him.
No,
he has the talent and the ability. It's just
that's the problem I have in high school athletics, high school recruiting. The whole thing is they put unrealistic expectations on these kids and they blow this stuff out of proportion. Okay, and that's one of those things that it kind of drives me nuts. And Drew, you and I have talked about this several times. You know, it scares me with a lot of these kids signing the NIL deals and stuff like that. That fundamentally changes you. Well, if you come in here and you suck, what is that going to do to you here? Because everybody's already on top of you. Everybody expects you to be a world beater, and that's what they expect out of Spencer Rattler. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he in the running for a Heisman through 6 weeks before he got benched?
Yep.
At Oklahoma? That's what I'm saying. The dude wasn't any joke.
Heisman running for this year.
And then something went wrong. I'm not talking about preseason. But something went wrong in his head. And that's the whole thing, the whole sports psychology thing of it. That kid could have been one of the greatest quarterbacks that we've ever seen, but unrealistic expectations put on these kids at a young age. Now, I mean, that's a whole different story, a whole nother conversation. But he came out, he did what he had to do. He raised his stock a whole lot on Saturday.
Yeah, he did.
As much as I can say that.
The few times that we actually got pressure on him, that's the one time we made him punt. We actually blitzed.
Yeah, stop. And then we turned around and went right back to deep zone.
Yeah, and they scored on every single possession except that one. The week before, their offense didn't score a touchdown the entire game, and they come out and score every single possession they had it but one.
I don't know how many offensive plays they had, but I think Buck said it was like 2.7% blitz rate on Saturday. We had one stop, and they didn't run 100 plays, and that was what made me think that 2.7% was that one drive when they blitzed and we got a stop. And I would almost guarantee that. And then we turn around, I think it was in the third quarter, then we turn around and we start belling again. I mean, it's the same stuff.
They had almost 40 minutes of possession time.
That's crazy. You muted Dylan, or Dylan muted himself. Yeah, it looked like whatever you said.
Sorry, yep, my bad. Hey, listen, sometimes you hit things on the keyboard you don't understand. With that being said, I would like to say I did start off wrong by telling Spencer Rattler that I'm sorry. I should have started by saying thank you to Hendon Hooker for all of the wonderful memories, plays, and everything that he has done for the University of Tennessee football. That guy, when you think about someone to lead your team, there's nothing else that you could be said to say, hey, he should have done this differently. There's nothing. The guy is exactly what you would want in someone to lead your team. So just sorry to interrupt, but Hendon, thank you. and man, I hope your future is way better than anything you did for my Saturdays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
speaking of Hendon, I was watching a show earlier today, and a lot of them still believe that he should still go to New York. He should still be there for New York. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. But I mean,
well, you talk about setting the precedent. Somebody getting hurt and still going to New York. That's a big deal. You know,
if you look at his numbers, I mean, it's well deserved. Whether they send an injured player there or not,
I think the guy that I want to say that he kind of deserves to be there. He's just now getting a little noise. Y'all know who it is. He's going to be our starting quarterback next year anyway. Drake May to Knoxville. We're going to start that. It's going to be a thing. But anyway, I think you really got to look at him. I've been way less than impressed by Ohio State as a team and Stroud as a quarterback. He's just what he does have is some really bad throws that really good receivers go and get. And that seems to be a common thing. I mean, those guys, Marvin Harrison Jr. is ridiculous. Like that man,
definitely
I'm telling you,
son for sure.
that man could stand in the middle of a bus and you could throw it anywhere on that bus, and I swear he could go get it. But I've not been overly impressed with him. I just Corum, he got hurt. Two of the three leading Heisman candidates are hurt. I don't know. Do you know what the deal with Corum is right now? Is he out?
Yeah, I did see something about that today. I believe they said he may have either strained or torn MCL.
Yeah,
he
MCL.
may be done for the year too. So
done. And so I mean, what does that do? Does that just drop it in? Does that drop it in C.J. Stroud's hands, or do you give it to somebody like Drake May?
Well, knowing how everybody has this love affair with Ohio State, no matter what they do,
What about Duggan?
I just hand it to Stroud probably. You say Duggan?
Yep.
He's played. He's done
Well,
what he had
I
to
mean,
do.
the other guy. Go ahead.
I mean, he's played good. I mean, when you think about a championship caliber team, you want a team that can come from behind and win the game. And sadly, they've done that every single game, which is not what I want. But the committee's going to take that into play for sure. And he's shown that under pressure he can do it.
Well, one of those things that, and a lot of people aren't going to like hearing this, but one of the things a lot of people got to remember is a quarterback can take a decent team and make them a great team, a team that's capable of winning a national championship. Guy had a bad night. We say that Hendon had a bad night. He missed on some deep throws. He hit most of what he threw underneath. He was 25 of 42, a little out of character for him, throwing some balls he wouldn't normally throw. A couple of them I feel like Jalen Hyatt led up on that he could have hit deep. But what happened to Auburn a year removed from winning the national championship with Cam Newton? That was Gus Malzahn year one, if I'm not mistaken. They won a national championship. He's fired 2 years later because they were absolute hot garbage outside. Or not, it wasn't Malzahn. It was Muschamp, wasn't it?
Yeah, Muschamp.
Muschamp. I mean, he's gone 2 years later. Same thing happened with Jimbo at Florida State. You have this world beater quarterback. All of a sudden, they're amazing. He's gone. What happened with Florida? Now, they didn't. Urban didn't get fired. Urban moved on. He retired because Tim was gone, and all of a sudden, Florida wasn't as amazing as what they were in the past. And Nick building his dynasty and all of those things that happened. But a quarterback makes or breaks a dynasty, really, which even goes even further to say, look at what Nick's done at Alabama, because there's been some times he's had some really bad quarterbacks, and then he churns out this army of running backs and receivers that throw a quarterback that can throw trash balls, and he's got receivers that can go get it. One way or the other, he's always found a way to get it done. We lost 2 ball games this year. Our quarterback didn't play well in 2 ball games. That's the way that I see that, and that's a testament to how good Hendon really is and where we are in our development. Now, if if we could have had a backup quarterback come in and still pull off one of these games or still continue to score and do those things. And I'm not talking about teams we were beaten by 60 when he came out and looked good against Missouri and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. When we're in a dogfight and he can come in, if Joe could have came in and took over a game and then all of a sudden, we were just as good without Hendon, but the reality of it is we're not. And we look a lot more like, if Hendon is off, we look a lot more like the football team that we expected ourselves to be. We knew that we had great receivers, and that was pretty much where it stopped. We felt like Hendon was pretty decent, and he could get us somewhere, but the man's taking care of the ball. And that's something, another testament. Like, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players to ever play at Tennessee. Okay, and I hate to see it in the way that it did because I would have loved to have seen him in a New Year's Bowl. I would have loved to have seen him go out next Saturday and make up for it just like he did against Missouri after he had the Georgia game that he had. All those reasons to go out and, go out on a high note. He went out lowest of the low. And it really, really sucks to see that happen to his career. But what did he throw, five interceptions in 2 seasons?
I believe so.
That's why we've won the ball games that we've won. We've taken
Here's
care
a question. You take out the national championship that T. Martin won. Who are your top 3 quarterbacks to ever play at the University of Tennessee?
Ever or modern day? I mean, that's kind
of from Peyton on.
From Peyton on? I mean, it's easy, really, to me. Numero uno. I'm a Peyton man. I think
it's definitely Peyton, for sure.
It's Peyton number 1. I think number 2 is Dobbs, honestly. I think that he was probably a little bit better than Hendon because of what he could do with his legs. And I say
the
that
coach that he had.
Considering this, I would have loved to have seen what Dobbs could have done in this system because his long ball.
He said that himself on was it SEC, the SEC show they have when they went to Georgia. He was on the couch talking to him. He was like, "Man, he's like, I'm kind of jealous that I didn't get to play in this offense."
I kind of hold them in the same regard, but Crompton, it's kind of. I feel like they're tight in there. T is not 1, 2, 3, or 4 for me. I think I got him at 5, but Crompton and Ainge. Eric Ainge was special, dude. Like
Eric Ainge was really special. Now here's the thing, though. You put Hendon Hooker 4 years at the University of Tennessee, or 3, like the same way that Ainge and Crompton and Dobbs, all the time that they had. You give Hendon that time with Heupel, there's no telling what he could have accomplished.
And I don't disagree, but how many yards would Eric Ainge have thrown for in this system?
Oh man, probably 1.5 million. Probably 1.5 million.
But that's my point. I mean, it's hard to compare those guys. But the one thing that I really loved about Hendon was his ability to take care of the football. That's second to none. He's the best to ever do that. Efficiency, he's the best quarterback we've ever seen. Efficiency.
Today's age, when he lost to Joe Milton after transferring in, most guys with his power, they're out. They're going somewhere else that
absolutely
for sure going to start.
Right.
I think that's
the same thing to Joe Milton.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe could have easily bounced and went somewhere else, but stuck it out.
The dude could be the best tight end in the country. Like, I'm telling you right now, line that man up and let him play tight end. He may not have went to like a big time like Florida, LSU, somewhere like that. Right.
He could have.
I don't know, man. I think he's better than Anthony Richardson at quarterback. But
they're the exact same person. They were talking about that on the radio today too. They are the same person. Joe, I'm telling you, he may as well hit me deep on Saturday. Like, I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying he's not progressed. But I had a funny conversation with one of my buddies today. I always make a statement. He plays backyard football. He's standing out there. He's pointing and doing those things. And what he does, He's like, when you were throwing ball with your brother or something growing up, you're like, go deeper, deeper, keep going, and that's what he's doing. He's waving his receivers down the field constantly. And he's like, oh, you're 80 yards down the field, I'm going to drop a dime. I mean, but anything less than that, he's in trouble.
So, speaking of Tennessee quarterbacks, where you guys put the Clausen brothers? Where you put them guys at?
Say that again?
Clausen?
Well, I mean, modern day, Rick and Casey, they won some ball games. I mean, but it was a bad era. It was a bad era.
They were good quarterbacks at a bad time.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
which one was it that went to LSU and won? Was that Rick?
Yes, Rick. I think Casey was better than Rick, though. Casey was significantly better than Rick. Now you got me curious. I might have to pull up the Google machine here. Y'all give me a minute.
I'll say this. It's one of those that when you talk about all-time great at a university for the quarterback position, for me, it goes deeper than stats. What kind of impression did they have on their teammates? How did, as far as the fan base, and different things like that. And for me personally, from Peyton Manning on, there's not been a quarterback that has just been loved more by the University of Tennessee than Hendon. I mean, you can make the case for Eric Ainge or Crompton,
it's
and
between
Dobbs. All of them right there are neck and neck for number 2. It's hard to make that case, but it's, the guy is, as far as what you want in a quarterback,
definitely
he's
won
been
the fan base
phenomenal.
over.
Oh, 100%.
Well, dude, the thing about it is he's a great quarterback. Okay, and we can talk about him missing a few balls, and I swear some of the balls that he missed, I'm not talking about his long balls downfield, that he sailed on a sideline. That's why he didn't throw as many interceptions. I swear some of those balls he intentionally overthrew. It's his way of throwing the ball away. Everybody's like, oh, my God, he missed in tight coverage. Well, he sailed it over the top. Did he miss? Or was he throwing the ball away in their direction? Because there was a lot of times that he did that. And everybody's like, oh, he's selling. He's not. He's throwing the ball away. But you can't just throw the ball out of bounds when you're standing between the tackles. And I swear to you, I feel like he's done that several times because it was always well-timed when he did it. Like it wasn't a blatant miss. It was in double coverage. And he drops the ball 3 or 4 yards in front of him, or he overthrows them by 10. And that, I mean, I really think that a lot of people have taken for granted just how good he really was. Still is. I mean, he may be wonderful in somebody's system in the NFL, but it's a different game.
Here's a question that I have thought about all day. Is Jeremy Banks that important to our defense, or did they just not show up at all?
Beef. Okay. Go ahead, Drew. You go, and then I'll come back.
I think he's a big part of what they do as far as blitzing, getting pressure up the middle. I think he controls a lot of that middle. But I kind of have to agree with what Tyler said earlier about the scheme. I don't think they schemed it right. I think they were just going to make Rattler beat them. Like, they were trying to keep everything in front of them, which it still didn't work.
So again, scheme. That's one of those things. Your linebacker is, for all intents and purposes, he's the quarterback of the defense. When he's missing, especially when he's an emotional leader, I mean, I've not been crazy about him from a fundamental standpoint ever. He's a running back that had a temper. He played with fire. He wants to hurt you when he hits you. And obviously he's been able to learn the game. He plays with an extremely high motor. He's the emotional leader of that team. The emotional leader. He's the one you always see rallying the troops. He's the one meeting somebody. And when he's missing, it's no different defensively with him missing than it is with Hendon on offense. Okay, and that's where we are as a team. And a lot of people are pissed off and saying, "Oh, fire them!" Blah blah blah. What Drew calls a negaval, stupid. We're not firing anybody. Not time to fire anybody. I think that you have to have a conversation when you let South Carolina drop 60 points on you. But I mean, that key piece was missing out of that defense. Right, wrong, or indifferent for whatever reason. But I think everybody was out of sync. The dog wasn't there, and it showed.
And I don't know if you guys watched his Heupel's post-game press conference, but he said this one's got to hurt, and I hope it hurts for the ones that didn't make the trip.
Right.
Which tells me that was a direct shot to Jeremy Banks. I don't know exactly what happened. There's been so many different stories going around, but he made a post on Instagram saying it wasn't a confrontation. Of course, I mean, they don't want it to be a confrontation in public, obviously. But with Heupel saying that, basically talking directly to him, something happened, something was going on, and just the whole team seemed kind of off from the get-go.
All right. So this is what I was told. I'll keep it there. It says Banks had an unexcused miss of practice on Monday. That's why he wasn't at practice. It was an unexcused miss. It was not injury related. Coaches suspended him for the game. You don't walk on the power tee on the floor of the locker room. Banks did it on purpose. Hooker called him out and told him to do 10 push-ups because that's the penalty for anybody that steps on the tee. Banks said, F you. Milton stepped in between them. No punches or anything were thrown. Banks essentially had to apologize or whatever today. Not real good chemistry going on right now. Jimmy Himes, I think, reported that today on the Animal. So there you go. There's what happened. Banks doing what Banks does. Again, another one of those problems. He had a big run in a few years ago. Didn't feel like he should have been there. I thought he should have been gotten rid of then. But we went on a ride. One of the coolest things I ever got to do, my brother and I got to go to Tallahassee and pick up Bobby Bowden. And we drove Bobby Bowden from his home in Tallahassee all the way back to Hendersonville for like a FCA event. And to pick his brain in the car and talk to him going down the road was one of the coolest things that I've ever done. But he, we asked him what his opinion was on second chances. And he goes, he said, my thing is, he goes, it's not about second chances or third or fourth or fifth or sixth. He said, because some of these guys are coming out of situations where nobody's ever going to give them a chance for anything. And though I kind of got to give Pruitt a little bit of credit for what he did there with him. He made him he had to write an apology. He had to go out to the Knoxville Police Department, spend time with those guys, and pretty much do some community service or something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken. But spend time with them to try to better understand them. And really, I think this is the first real issue that he's had since, what was that, 2019 maybe, when that happened?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, one incident in the next 3 or 4 years. The dude did well, but I mean, I guess every dog has their day. Everybody has bad days for whatever reason, and Monday was just not good for him. But on the flip side, I think that's another state of the program. You're playing for a freaking shot at a national title, and you're going to lay out of practice? That's not a championship mentality.
Yeah, I believe it started. That was one of the things I saw, that it wasn't just one incident that led to it. It was a few things all week that led to what the whole thing happening. But something had to have started before then for him to just say, screw it, I'm not going to practice.
I don't disagree.
Something's just been off the last couple weeks, actually.
This is just conversation. This is not breaking news or any of that. But it makes me wonder if the NIL stuff has had something to do with it. Because everybody started throwing everything at Hendon. All you hear about is Hendon. And it's like, what about everybody else? You know, what about dude, one of the most impressive people I've seen play all year is Amari Thomas. Like, he's played his butt off.
I don't know, man. I'm going Princeton Fant.
That dude,
I
I like Princeton. I hate to see him. Dude looks like RoboCop as well. We've got some big dudes. But Fant, what they've done is they found really wild ways to incorporate him into stuff. You know, it's been when we were at the Kentucky game, and was it Kentucky that? No, it was Martin that he threw the pass, and I just turned and looked at Dakota, and I said, all they're doing is trying to improve his draft stock, because now when they show these highlights and these clips of Fant, he's doing all this crazy stuff that's off the wall. Oh, he's versatile. He's the versatile tight end. He's not the versatile tight end.
That was, and I'm not taking anything away from Thomas, because that guy is, to me,
he's playing his butt off.
Yeah, he's been just as important as, I'm not going to say as Banks, but he's definitely been.
You did say Princeton Fant, didn't you? Did you say Fant? Okay, all right, that's what I thought. I'm about half deaf, but Banks, you can't take anything away. I'm not taking anything away from Banks. I mean, he's a
no at all. But as far as all field stuff goes, yeah, we can take a ton away from that. But I think everybody knew coming in when he was able to come back to the team. I think we all knew what could happen, what potentially could happen with him, and the type of attitude that he brings to the locker room.
Yeah,
and that's one of those risk reward type things. Is his ability there to compensate for what you might have to tolerate in the locker room?
Didn't Juwan Jennings have a major meltdown and went on to become one of my favorite balls in the last?
Now that's a whole nother topic, because Juwan Jennings actually did have a case for himself.
Well, but still.
Yeah, no. I mean, you never go against the coach, but yes,
he feels like he should have been Hendon Hooker. He should have been playing quarterback. That was
honest to God, he probably should have.
Hey, dude, he was a dog at Oakland, a dog. But
he was phenomenal.
Speaking of, I guess, troubled players, did y'all hear that? Kamal Hadden is still running his damn mouth. Dude, you got burnt every time they came with you, and you.
Only thing that guy needs to work on running is his legs.
Yeah, and just
ran his mouth about it for me anymore.
Ran his mouth at Beamer. Like, what are you doing?
And
trash bag.
And Beamer went right back at him. You're a grown ass man. Shut up. You're supposed to be a coach. Just shut up. But either way it goes, both of them need to shut up. Kamal Hadden played like absolute trash, and he would never play for me again.
Now, this is one of those things, because you can't – yeah, he absolutely played like trash, and I could care less if he plays another game. But there's probably 5-6 plays that we had pressure on Rattler. It's not all on him, but he got beat every single time.
You can't, but that's the thing. You can't cover all day.
No, and that's exactly. So it goes hand in hand. But at the same time, there was a lot of throws that were made his direction that you give him that time frame of you should have your guy covered for this amount of time, and he didn't. He got
playing 10 and 12 yards off the ball.
Probably.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're
everybody's belling, and that's
but they're playing 10, 12 yards off the ball, and he was getting beat deep. How does that happen?
I don't disagree with that.
And it ain't even as much about his play to me as it is. We're down 20-something points. Shut up.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I agree. All you got to do is turn and point at the scoreboard.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Hey man, Rattler, I think he counted them all.
Yeah.
And that's
every time he threw one, he recounted to make sure.
Do what?
I said every time he threw one, he recounted just to make sure he was right.
Yeah, I can't believe it, Mama.
That'll be hands down. That'll be Rattler's best game of his career.
How many did he end up with?
6.
He had 8 going into the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
yeah, because we mentioned that.
Again, we do apologize for that.
So everything that we said on Saturday,
It was backwards.
it was backwards. Like score predictions, everything was 100% backwards. It's like,
Hey,
yeah.
you'll have that on them big jobs.
It was opposite day and we didn't know it. So
Exactly. I'm gonna talk real bad Saturday about Tennessee versus Vanderbilt.
Oh man, hey, all the credit to the world to Vanderbilt, man. They have played some football here recently.
back-to-back SEC wins for the first time in since what they say 80 something.
It's been a minute.
That's insane. You think they'll check or Neyland? Everybody's been talking about it. I mean,
Yeah. I think
don't
a lot
know.
of people are
After the
diving
loss.
too deep into it. I mean, it's just always been that thing that
I said
you
check
got a
or Neyland.
lot of Tennessee volunteer
Vandy.
fans in Middle Tennessee. And so it's always been like, dude, let's try to checker, Vanderbilt Stadium because Tennessee is Tennessee. Now that they lost, everybody's like, oh, we suck. No, we don't. It's, let's still do it. It'll be hit or miss. I think you're going to see half of the stadium checkered and the other half not.
Yeah, I think you'll see some that'll go through with it, and some will be like, "Nah, we lost, we suck." Da, da, da. And that's another thing that me and Tyler was talking about earlier. It's killed me today. Since we lost,
hurt, man.
Going into this season, me and Tyler was talking about earlier. We're predicted to what 7 to 9 wins at the most. I mean,
Yep.
we were going into Saturday. We were controlling our own destiny. Went out and we're pretty much going to the playoffs. Nobody.
And I've mentioned the same
that.
thing, and you've got people that'll say, "Yeah, well, that's what was supposed to happen." Now that you're in the predicament that you're in, and you show up and play the way that you played, it's a whole nother conversation. Well, why is that? Why is it a different conversation? You're talking about the same exact team. We weren't supposed to be where we are. Yeah, we're here. Just because we lost doesn't make us any less than what we actually are. You've got just so many two-sided fans. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I think it's victim of Tyler said go Vols. I think it's the victim. I think it's the victim of being so bad for so long, and we're finally good, and then we're like, dang, here we go again. But
well, hello, Casey.
Carpenter.
That's Dakota's aunt.
This is one of those games for me. You can go back to the Georgia game as well. I just don't feel like that we as a team have prepared for those big game, those loud environments and stadiums that can really get to you. And it shows. I mean, Georgia and South Carolina, the 2 losses, we weren't prepared. And I don't know if it definitely scheme-wise, but I think that we underestimated the actual power of South Carolina Stadium.
Oh, I agree, and I think that we underestimated the sound at Georgia, the noise.
Definitely for that.
I think they went like 130 decibels.
They broke the record.
We were 125 against Alabama. I mean, that's insane. And acoustics have a lot to do with that. Neyland Stadium sits kind of like that. Well, they're kind of hard to do in the camera, but it kind of sits like that, so it's not going to hold the sound the way some of these other stadiums do. I mean, they literally build stadiums to be able to make more crowd noise, and that's if you've ever looked at I think it's Seattle. They've got these big things around the lights and stuff, and all that is to do is to make the sound reverb back down in the stadium.
Yeah, they actually broke the world record, and then the Chiefs broke it after they did.
Seattle did?
Yeah, Seattle broke it, and then the Chiefs broke it. I don't know if you guys ever been to Arrowhead, but when they say that's the loudest stadium in the world, they're not lying. I was sitting in row 3 when they were playing the game against the Bills. It was a couple years, Patrick Mahomes' rookie year. And me and Ricky were sitting beside each other trying to talk to each other. And it just looked like, like the foreign movies where they just move their lips and nothing comes in.
Right.
That's what it was like. And we were literally like side by side. And they're doing the war chant and the whole everything's shaking. It was insane. Incredible atmosphere to be in. I still like Neyland better, but
Well, I don't think you can compare the environments of a college football game versus a pro football game. It's just, and I don't know, maybe it's me.
More passion.
You feel right. And
you're playing. It feels like you're playing for more.
something about going to a Titans game, it feels so disconnected to me. I feel like you're so far away from it. Like it's just not. I mean, even in Neyland Stadium, when you're up in the nosebleeds, I still feel like you're in the thick of it. But I really don't feel that way in, LP Field. What do they even call it now?
Nissan Stadium.
LP Field, dude. Holy crap.
You know why that is? Because you can go, if everything worked out correctly, you could go 7-9 in the NFL and still make the playoffs.
Which is stupid.
You lose one game in college football, and it's already your chances are already cut in half. That's why going to this 8-game.
Well, but the thing about it is, man, there's no
topic. But 7-9, you can have a losing record.
Let's talk about it. I mean, that's the whole thing. D1, AA, or F, whatever they call it now, D2, D3, all of them, they run like a 2014 playoff system. There's no controversy. There's no controversy. The reality of it is these athletes are world-class athletes, okay? Sometimes it takes some work to get things in the right place, the right cogs in the right places and stuff. And that's the whole thing, is we don't know. Just because you had it together in week 1 doesn't mean you're the best team in the country when the national championship rolls around. LSU. That team that may have gotten beat by 2 or 3 touchdowns in week 1 or week 2 may be the best team when a national championship rolls around, but they don't have a chance to play for it. That's what
makes college football, because you have to show up every Saturday and make it count. Now,
I don't agree with that.
I don't think that one loss should keep you from winning at all. But I do think that at some point, you've got to consider wins and losses.
Well, I mean, you are though.
Yeah, but when you bring 8 teams into the mix, you're once you get to that 7 and 8, who's number 7 and number 8 right now?
Well, let's think about this right now. Who's 7 and 8 right now? Alabama, and I don't know who 7 is. You saying that Alabama couldn't go?
Clemson. 8, Alabama.
So you're telling me that they can't go out and compete right now? What's Clemson?
No doubt in my mind that Clemson would get beat by anybody above them.
I think Clemson is way overrated. But you're going to tell me right now that Clemson can't go play TCU?
No, they can't. TCU would blow.
Don't make me say it on the radio.
I will. I said TCU would blow. I'm not saying they would blow them out, but TCU would have Clemson feeling like they're nothing. And I think TCU's garbage. But Clemson is
really
so
bad.
overrated.
I think Clemson's really bad.
Clemson is so overrated.
I don't disagree with that. And I'm not going to make that argument. But you're going to tell me Alabama couldn't?
Here's my argument on it though. Alabama has how many losses? 2. That 2 to me in college football is you're done. Tell me any other time a 2-loss college football team has been able to win it all. They can't.
Well, but that's been the whole point.
You take it to 6, and you still have that 1-loss team that the passion is still there. Now you're telling teams like, hey, take a rest, take a break.
So what you're telling me now,
now.
Dylan, you're going to tell me that Tennessee got in as a 12, you wouldn't care because they were 12 instead of 4? Bull crap. You wouldn't care. You wouldn't be as into it if they made it in as a 12.
No, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be.
Would you back your team just as much if they made it into the playoff as a 12?
100%. I'm saying in season, in regular season, you're taking that Tennessee and Georgia, prime example, both undefeated teams. You know, the build up all week for that game, you're taking that away. You're taking half of that away because both of them likely are still going to make it.
All right, so let me ask you this.
I think I get what you're saying. You're saying, like we were talking about a while ago, you're playing for something. You got pride every week.
I'm saying
But
that's
if you add a bunch of extra teams, you're like, well, if I lose this, I will. I'm still getting in.
Exactly.
Take some of the pride out of it. Okay, I got you.
When you do away with the divisions in the SEC, and you have Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, all in the same conference, you think that a 4-team playoff is okay?
No. I'm not agreeing with a 4-team playoff at all. I'm saying 6 is a good number. If you line
those guys up, if you line them up against,
you could make a case for 6 SEC teams. You could,
but you do away with that. I think that the ticket is, and we talked about this the other day, is you take your conference champion, your conference runner-up. Okay, if you went to 12 from all 5 Power 5 schools, and you got 2 wild cards. There's your 12 team.
Yeah, but then those 2 wild cards, you're just putting them in. That takes that effect out. That takes that feeling and that meaning from college football away.
I think false. You take the team like a undefeated whatever school, Tulane, an undefeated Marshall, and you put them into the mix. You're like, all right, boys, here you go. Here you go, Boise State. Here's your shot.
Okay, now that's a different scenario. If they're undefeated and whatever, I could see that.
What about if you pull a team in that is a non-Power 5 school that goes undefeated and makes it to the playoff? They win a playoff game. They move to the near Power 5 conference, and you kick out the low man.
I'm going to go buy a bunch of lottery tickets, because if that happens, then it's not
going to happen.
I actually saw a diagram. Somebody made it up with. It was just 2 big, or actually it was like 4 big conferences, and the bottom two or 3 from the bigger conference. If you're the bottom 2 in those, you move down, and the top 2 from the bottom move up. So it rotates every year, unless it's the same teams.
How many times has MTSU been a better football team than Vanderbilt?
I would say it's been more.
How many times has Memphis been a better football team than Vanderbilt?
Now, and see that
what about Western?
This conversation goes deeper rather than football, because then you're talking
baseball,
college in general, because then you've got to bring in baseball, basketball, and everything else that Vanderbilt does. And baseball has been, and every now and then they've got a good basketball program, but that's what's kept them in the SEC is Tim Corbin and Tim Corbin only.
Well, I think another thing that's kept them in the SEC is just being one of the founding. Remember?
The
Vanderbilt.
I'm not saying that we should get rid of them.
No.
Don't mishear what I'm saying. I'm just talking. But
this is a conversation that is it can
what they've done for SEC baseball is unbelievable.
I'm kind of fond of that fur coat up there in Knoxville.
Do what?
I said I'm kind of fond of that fur coat in Knoxville.
The fur coat in Knoxville. Yeah. I am too. I don't know what happened to Dylan. I think he froze. Either that or he's really good at being like a mummy. There he is. I think he's
There
back.
we go.
I don't know what happened there, boys. Sorry. That was me. That was my Wi-Fi playing against South Carolina.
That's good. Yeah, no kidding. It just stopped, backed off coverage for a little while.
That was it. Yep. Hey, we're
So
done here, boys. Let's go home.
We could take the Nick Saban route and see where we're at. We're at number 9. I think there should be a 9-team playoff is what I think. Did y'all see? He was so against expanding the playoff, but now that they're 8 and they've lost 2 games.
Oh, he's all for it now.
He's all for an expanded playoff.
And I'll say this: Alabama, they have a phenomenal football team this year. They're very. When you think of Alabama, you don't think of 2 losses.
No.
But they're for a 2-loss Alabama team, they have a pretty good team.
Hey, John, I do have one question about it though. What makes March Madness so special?
I'm gonna punch you in your face. That Cinderella team.
I am just saying.
No, I do not disagree, but take into consideration football versus basketball. You've got 5-on-5 versus, freaking 24-on-24. Right?
What about Mike
So
Vrabel's? What about the Mike Vrabel Titans that made it to the playoffs and knocked off Tom Brady and them, knocked off Lamar Jackson? What about that team that didn't have a real good record when they made it to the playoffs, and they knocked off some teams they weren't supposed to knock off? That was really.
What was their record though? Do you remember?
Was it 9-7?
Yeah.
It was 9-7.
I'm not a trophy guy. I don't want a trophy unless I've earned it. To me, that is giving a team that has sucked 9-7. Hey, here's a trophy. You made it to the playoffs. You sucked all year, but here you go. That's my, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I don't agree. I'm Switzerland here. I'm one of those, like, I can't make my mind up. I want to see it first, because you're going to have those teams like this.
A 7-5 football team. That's not what you're talking about.
No. I'm saying, like, if you're going to have those years like Cincinnati last year or the year before, they could win it all.
Trash.
No, yeah, but they were. I'm not going. They were pretty decent.
See, but what they would have done in an expanded playoff is they would have made a run, and it would have been what everybody was. What are we doing, Dylan? It would have been.
I got 2 kids that somehow broke into my locked room.
I have keys.
Yeah, that's good. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I think. Really though, if you're in the top 10 or 12, most of the time you're going to be a runner-up anyway in your conference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The way it plays out.
I wouldn't make an argument for a huge playoff, but I would kill the useless bowl games. Now, that is the dumbest thing in college football.
41 bowl games.
What'd you win? Oh, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Get out of here. Like, nobody cares. You don't see my Duke ring? No, I don't. You got a lifetime supply of Mayo? I'm out, dude. It's pointless. That's what's pointless to me. Make it mean something. Make those games mean something. They're playing them anyway.
I think 2 losses. If you take in the value of who did they lose to and where did they lose at, you take those into effect. LSU, they're out. Even if they win the SEC championship, 2 losses, 1 at home to Tennessee. Yeah, 14. Yeah, 100%.
Now, do you think 2-loss LSU should sit out behind 1-loss TCU?
In a 4-team conference, 2-loss LSU.
Yes, if they win the SEC championship.
If they win the SEC championship, is that you saying TCU loses in their championship?
Right, they're a 1-loss team.
100%. Yeah, LSU win over TCU. Sadly.
Okay. All right. Hold up. Michigan loses to Ohio State. What the hell is that?
Yeah, we're gonna block that user.
What happened here?
Get her out of here. That come, Drew.
Thanks for coming, but no thanks.
I guess we're spreading all over the internet, but whatever. But so are you saying that LSU ends up knocking off Georgia, wins the SEC championship, and Michigan loses to Ohio State? Michigan gets in over LSU? Michigan gets in over LSU.
They should. You got to take it.
A one loss non-conference champion gets in over a ACC champion. Is that what you said?
No, I thought. Did you say that Michigan would win in the conference championship over Ohio State?
I'm saying if Michigan loses to Ohio State, or Ohio State loses to Michigan, either one, and LSU wins out. And LSU wins out. And thanks, Brandon. But LSU wins the SEC championship. How do you not put them in over Ohio State or Michigan?
So
quality of wins.
But then you could take that same conversation and say, should you put in Michigan, Ohio State over Georgia? You could take that same conversation and do it that way as well.
No, I don't disagree. No.
Either one, if you go off strength of schedule, Georgia's still in my opinion.
I don't disagree. I mean, that's the quality of the wins there. I mean, now their quality of the win went way down when we lost to South Carolina, but they I don't know, man. They pounded Oregon. I mean, if some way LSU found a way to beat Georgia, I don't know how you keep them out.
I mean, you can't, because SEC is college football, man. You can't keep them out, but you can make a case for it.
What about
make a case for anything? I mean, but
I think you just hate me. Is it because I'm a Tennessee fan? Or are you a South Carolina fan now?
We're talking about LSU getting in. Well, right now, USC's sitting at number 5 in front of LSU.
Now there's still a case for them. There's still a case for them though, because they can win their conference as a one-loss team, and you can't argue against that.
If they win the conference, do I think Pac-12 is better? Absolutely not. But
they're in over Michigan or Ohio State. Whoever loses that game, they're probably gonna put them in if they win out. I don't agree.
I don't know how a Blake Corum-less Michigan team would even be in the conversation, because I mean he's really powered them to everything.
They went out. They're in.
Oh, no, there's no doubt, but I really don't think they're going to beat that trashy Ohio State team without Corum. I mean, that dude was a man.
Yeah. I'm not sure they can definitely beat him without him. If Tennessee hadn't lost, I think we talked about this in our group chat. I think honestly, if Michigan would have beat Ohio State, we still might have got the shaft, just because the committee loves Ohio State for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I feel like a little bit of that might have to do with Herb Street. They want to talk about the SEC bias, but they don't talk about it when Ohio State gets boat raced or Michigan gets boat raced. They don't want to talk about it then. And it's not really they always bring these teams into the conversation. They bring USC into the conversation. They bring Oregon into the conversation just for them to go and get murdered by somebody. And I mean, let's be real. I'll be perfectly honest about it. For the last 15 years, it's been a 3-dog show, man. I mean, there's been 3 teams that are there consistently, and it's not.
So let me ask you this, Tyler. What makes March Madness? what?
I love it. I just asked. I was like,
oh. That's the thing, man. We can go on and on all day long.
You can make a case for all of it.
Every single day. It just who shows up when it matters is at the end of the day, you'll see.
Right. I will say that the 12 team kind of gives it that March Madness feel where you might have a team that we think, like, what are they even doing?
They could have had their star guy injured on their 1 loss, maybe even their 2 loss day, and now he's back. And they're a whole different team.
Maybe like you said earlier, a Tulane or somebody come in that we're like, what are they even doing in the playoff? And they come in and shock some people. That Cinderella story type deal.
Appalachian State.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! If anybody does it, it's App State. App State, when this 12-team playoff takes effect, App State will be the first non-Power 5 team.
I tell you what, James Madison's nasty too. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but they're ridiculous. I think they've lost a few now, but they started off hot. It took them 3 games to make it into the top 25 as a non-Power 5 school. The heck is it called? Their record.
I mean, Coastal Carolina. What was it when they only lost 1 game last year?
Yeah.
I mean, they would have had to have been in.
USC, Notre Dame play this weekend. You think Notre Dame knocks them off?
Depends on which Notre Dame team it shows up. Notre Dame is one of those. That team has just been so. Who shows up it's different every Saturday.
Hey, what's no looking, no googling, Drew? Put the Google machine down. What is Appalachian State's record right now?
I think they're under 500. They under 500?
They're not under 500.
They're barely over then. No, they've lost more than 3.
They're 6-5.
I knew it. I told you.
Dude, how? And what's crazy?
Yeah, I don't know how, because the teams that they've lost to after what they had.
Is the Sun Belt playing ball?
I mean, they're App State's like Paw Patrol, man. They'll play anybody. No team too big, no team too small.
6-5.
I'm not kidding, dude. You think about it, man. App State will absolutely play anybody. They don't care. And they'll play everybody the same.
We got a question.
Comment. So Jimmy Himes addressed that earlier. He said that, yeah, there was a deal that went on between the 2 of them, but there were no punches thrown, no anything like that. Banks had an unexcused absence on Monday, meaning he just skipped practice, which is just, again, says that we aren't ready for that stage. We're getting there, but, I mean, there's some changes that have to take place. But he had an unexcused absence on Monday, and he got pissed off about it. And there's a rule in the locker room: you don't walk across the tee. If you walk across the tee, you got to do 10 push-ups. Well, Banks did it just to be a butthead, and Hendon confronted him, said, "Hey man, do your 10 push-ups." Banks tells him to F off, essentially, and Joe got in between them. It was separated. There were no punches, no anything like that. So, yeah, there was some smoke there, but there was no physical altercation. I think it kind of ruined the vibe. I mean, it messed up a lot of stuff for us. But
and Banks also put on his Instagram is either a post or story that it was nothing physical, but
So
it is
here,
what it is.
I hope that
Here's-
answered your question, Brent.
here's
Appreciate
something
you
that I've
tuning in.
kind of. Oh yeah, absolutely. Here's something that I've kind of thought about. When you go back to the AJ Johnson days, who
The
was his
man.
backup? Colton Jumper.
Yeah, garbage.
Garbage. Talent-wise, garbage. The guy knew where to be, where the ball. He knew everything about football. He didn't have the talent. We don't have that behind Banks. We don't have that behind Banks. After Banks, we don't have the talent nor the know of where the ball's going, what's developing. And that showed very, very much Saturday night.
Speaking of AJ Johnson,
Do
Tyler,
what?
you may know. I said, speaking of AJ Johnson, you may already know, but he came and played in the semi-pro game for the Bulldogs.
Yeah. So I
you see
didn't
that one?
know that. I didn't know that the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs did he play in Portland? Or
No,
he
it was. We played a game at Innsworth against Huntsville, and the very first play of the game,
I bet he went off.
Strip sack, picks it up, runs it all the way to the 1 yard line. First play of the game. And then
you talk about a guy that got a bad deal, just a bad break all the way around. That chick ought to be in prison for the rest of her life. But I mean, that's all. That's also
That's another
actually-
episode, baby.
he was actually still going through that when he played the game for the Bulldogs. After that game, his court date was the next week. He got cleared. The next week, he signs with the Broncos.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, dude, he was a first round draft pick all day long.
Top
And that-
15.
That's all. Yeah, no doubt. And that's another thing that you have to take into consideration. He was not overly fast. He was not overly strong. He was a student of the game. He knew where to be, how to get there. Like he was gifted. Don't get me wrong. Like, but he wasn't.
IQ. Football
he was-
IQ.
But he was do what?
Football IQ.
Oh.
He had it.
Roof. And that was the thing. He was always where he needed to be. He reacted quick. He was coachable. That is like Al Wilson, Leonard Little, those guys aside. He is probably my favorite Vol defensively in a really long time. I mean, really going all the way back. I like Derek Barnett too, but something about AJ Johnson, man, he was the man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool though that he played for us 1 week and then the next week he's with the Broncos. I think he signed with Seattle now.
Is that where he's at? I knew that he had gotten released or something, but
Yeah, Al Wilson had a big part in him coming to Denver, which was pretty cool. Well, you got anything else? Oh, we got another crystal ball for David Hobbs. He commits on Friday. I believe it said at 5 p.m. maybe.
see the edge rusher?
Yeah, 5-star.
Yeah.
5-star edge. Be huge.
I don't know if Josh Heupel's tuned in. I hope he is. Linebackers. We need it.
Man.
And a lot of them hit the transfer portal.
That's
Also-
exactly what I was getting ready to say. I think we're going to hit the portal pretty hard for secondary and linebackers.
Yeah, I agree.
I think right now we need to take advantage of where we're at, and the fastest way to take advantage of it is in the portal, I believe. So
Right.
I think they realize that too, and I think we'll definitely hit the portal pretty hard defensively for sure.
I don't like how many offensive linemen we're losing either. We've got a lot.
There may be another spot we hit it hard.
Yeah. Well, all right then.
Well, that's about all I got. You guys got anything else?
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
You guys want to? I don't know what your guys' plans are Friday, but you guys want to try to go live for the Hobbs commitment? We can stream it live. All right. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate all the comments, the likes. Give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. That'll help us get it out there to more people. And we'll maybe see you guys Friday night.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Y'all have a good one. Thank you.